Welcome into the weekend update edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And as you can see, hail, hail, the gang's all here. Chris Yao to my left, Wade Neely to my right. Or as somebody said, clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with y'all for the next 2 hours.
I like how there's like a step down too. Like can I lower this chair to get on y'all's level?
Get on my level.
Because
square up with us one time.
I'm gonna have to like scooch down to get in here.
First world problems, no
First
question.
world.
Yeah,
No doubt.
It is the weekend update, and it is the Everybody Loves Chris edition of Main Street Sports Today, because we will be joined in the second hour by Christopher Gabriel, going to talk a little UT basketball as we've talked all week. There's a little bit of a game Saturday down in Tuscaloosa that is intriguing, to say the least. And in our next segment, we're going to visit with Sirius XM college football talk show host Chris Childers. He's got some things to say, and I'm interested to hear him as we discuss Middle Tennessee State football and new coach Derek Mason. So getting some insight from him on that situation. Also going to talk a little bit more of college football in this hour because, you know, we've not gotten to the 12-team playoff yet, and already there's talk about more teams. Also, some rule changes that will be considered for the upcoming season, I guess, right, Chris?
Believe so.
Yeah. So, and again, spring training, which means baseball chatter. So, got a lot of stuff to talk about today. It's going to be a fun Friday here on Main Street Sports Today as we come to you from the Lee Company studios across Middle Tennessee. I'm at home. Chris is actually in the studio. Wade, parts unknown. Where are you at, Wade?
I'm in Nashville, but basically second home. We're at the girlfriend's homestead today, so getting ready for the mighty trip to Huntington, Tennessee tomorrow, where the Summertown ladies will be in action. So,
draw the short straw, huh?
Yeah, short straw, but we'll have fun. Going to go over and check out what West Tennessee. I'm going to go to Paris. I had to lure the girlfriend in. I said, "Hey, how would you like to come with me to Paris?"
There you go.
And she said, I could be down with that. And I said, well, it's tomorrow night, and get ready because it's not the Paris maybe you were thinking of. So.
No,
you can still take her to the Eiffel Tower.
You can take her to the Eiffel Tower.
I promised her a trip to the Eiffel Tower, so I feel like I'm not living up to my promise, right?
You can there can be an Eiffel Tower trip. So yeah, be sure and check that out. Actually, I have pictures of Jody at the Eiffel Tower.
You can join Mo, me, and Derek Mason, who have taken their significant others to the Eiffel Tower in Paris.
In Paris, Tennessee. Yeah. Again, great show coming at you here. Before we get too deep into it, though, we probably need to give you yesterday's results and the weekend scores here on The Rundown.
This is The Rundown.
The Friday Rundown is brought to you by Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates. The Blue Raider Voice also wants to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Contact Chip at 615-542-1915 or through his website at choosechip.net. Chip Walters, proud to support youth sports across Middle Tennessee.
I misspoke in the intro. We're going to give you yesterday's results and this weekend's schedule here. And starting with yesterday's results in girls high school basketball action, the Division II AA tournament semifinals up at Tennessee Tech and Cookeville. Knoxville Catholic defeated Christ Presbyterian Academy 45-40, and it will be an all-Knoxville championship game as Knoxville Webb defeated Webb of Bell Buckle 48-41. In boys basketball action yesterday, D2 AA semifinals. Brentwood Academy defeated Knoxville Webb 63-48. It was Briarcrest 76, Pope Prep 53. In Division One region finals, Eagleville defeated Santa Fe 64-56. Coverage at mainstreetmurray.com. Cannon County 68, Mount Pleasant 61. It was Creekwood 49, Chester County 46. Hume Fogg with a 62-54 win over Portland. White House Heritage defeated Jackson County 58-49. Whites Creek with a 78-62 win over East Nashville. It was Upperman 52, Lawrence County 39. Hillsborough with a 67-44 win over Beach. Independence defeated Brentwood 65-49. Rossview with a 71-54 win over Dixon County, and Cookeville 62, Laverne 41.
In men's basketball last night, college basketball that is, Little Rock knocked off TSU 85-60. Thomas More with the win 74-55 over Trevecca. In women's college basketball last night, Little Rock completing the sweep. I gave you the men's score, but the ladies kicked things off with a 68-46 win over TSU. Bellarmine won it 80-74 versus Lipscomb. Austin Peay took care of Eastern Kentucky by the count of 63-55. The Lady Vols got a nice win, 75-66 versus Texas A&M. The Lady Doors, as it were, 68, Missouri 61.
Don't call them ladies.
Yeah, do not call them ladies.
Women.
The Commodore women. There we go. Thank you. I just felt like something was off when I said that, but Vanderbilt wins it 68-61. Thomas More defeated Trevecca 77-61. And in a game that we'll break down a little bit later, the Nashville Predators staying hot. They put up 6 goals to just 1 for Minnesota last night. 6-1 victory for the Preds over the Wild.
Schedule for this weekend. We start with Friday results already over in Cookeville at the Division II state semifinals. Good Pasture Downs, the Kings Academy, 58-47. Tomorrow we'll have the rest of these are 7 p.m. local time to the school. So some of these will be Eastern time. If you don't know, then you just don't. I can't help you. Rossview is at Bartlett. Lincoln County is at Beach. Blackman welcomes Cleveland. Oakland is at Bradley Central. That one is going to be Eastern time.
Correct.
Collierville is at Clarksville. Coffee County welcomes Hendersonville. Smith County is at East Nashville. Summertown, as Wade told you, will be at Huntington, and he will have you covered at Wade Neely. Cheatham County is down at Loretto. Chester County goes to Station Camp. Wayne County welcomes Eagleville. Pearl Collin is at York Institute. McEwen goes to Moore County. And Jackson Southside at home against Macon County.
In boys basketball action, playing right now is Providence Christian and Evangelical Christian in the D1A semifinals, I guess. Tomorrow, Briarcrest Christian and Brentwood Academy will play at 1:30 in the D2AA championship game. The D2A championship is at 6:30, and Division I sectionals are 7 o'clock tips, again, local to the school. Hillsborough is at Beach. This isn't right. No, these are from yesterday. There are no boys games tomorrow other than those 2 Division II championship games up at Tennessee Tech. So, college basketball doubleheaders to Saturday. Trevecca is at Kentucky Wesleyan. First game's at noon. Tennessee State is at Martin. The first game is at 1. And Evansville is at Belmont on Sunday. That's a 1 o'clock start. Men's basketball tonight. Bellarmine is at Austin Peay. Eastern Kentucky is at Lipscomb. And Fisk plays Wiley of Texas at Stillman in the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference quarterfinals. Those are all 7 o'clock starts. On Saturday, Cumberland is at the University of the Cumberlands. That's a 5 o'clock start. Women. And something just moved on me.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm sorry. Cumberland and University of the Cumberlands is men's at 5 o'clock. Also, men's game at 2:30. LSU is at Vanderbilt. That game's on the SEC network at 7 on ESPN. Tennessee is at Alabama. And also at 7 on ESPNU, Middle Tennessee State goes to Sam Houston.
It wouldn't be a Friday if there wasn't something freaky going on, folks. But women's college basketball scores, or schedule, I should say, for this Friday. 6:30 tonight, Indiana State will travel to Belmont. Cumberland is going to take on Georgetown College in the Mid-South Conference Tournament. That game is scheduled for 7:30 p.m. You can hear it on WANT-FM. That's 98.9. For those that want to dial in there. We've also mentioned Fisk will take on Talladega, and those games are at Stillman College in the GCAC quarterfinals. Saturday action, again, in women's college basketball. Lipscomb is at Eastern Kentucky. Austin P is at Bellarmine. Those the games are set for noon, both of those contests at high noon. Sam Houston's at MTSU at 2. And on Sunday, Tennessee will travel to South Carolina. The tip-off will come your way at 11 a.m., and you can catch it on ESPN. Georgia is at Vanderbilt at 1 p.m. In the NBA, Friday and Saturday action, over the weekend, the Trailblazers will come to Memphis to take on the Grizzlies. That game can be seen on Bally Sports beginning at 7 p.m. The Preds have another big game tomorrow night. You can see it at 5 o'clock on Bally Sports South as the Avalanche, who got a big win last night themselves, they come to Nashville for a big-time showdown. And NSC will be in action Saturday night versus the Colorado Rapids. Apple TV is your destination there. Kickoff comes your way at 8:30 p.m.
That is the undefeated Nashville Soccer Club, by the way. 2-0 in Champions Cup play and 0-1 in MLS. So
he is a soccer wizard, folks. Mo is on fire this year. I love it.
Are y'all there?
I think I am. Maybe I am. Yeah.
That's your rundown.
There we go. Top story brought to you as always by Piggly Wiggly over at Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. So again, Piggly Wiggly at Neely's Mill here in Columbia, presenting your top story. Yes?
Before we get into that top story,
You
something
have
we
another
would
top story?
something we would typically bring you on Thursdays, Mo, we just received in our inbox the Tennessee Sports Writers Association's Weekly Player of the Week honors.
Well, have at it, because I don't have it up.
UT's Martin's Jacob Cruz averaged a double-double last week as the junior powered the Skyhawks to 2 big road victories and earned the week's Men's Basketball Player of the Week award. In 2 outings, he averaged 29.5 points, 11.5 boards, and shot 63% from the field, including 94% from the free throw line. Scored 28 against Lindenwood and then 31 at Southeast Missouri State. On the women's side, it was Carson Newman graduate guard Braylon Weichel.
Yes.
W-Y-K-L-E. Weichel.
Mm-hmm.
2 big performances. She could barely miss in 2 contests. She shot 72% from the floor, including 59% from long range and 100% from the free throw line, averaging 32.5. Against Virginia Wise, she had 37 points on 13 of 15 shooting, including 7 of 9 3-point tries. She also on Saturday against Limestone had 28 on a 10 for 17 effort and 3 deep balls. On the diamond, Tennessee Tech catcher Hayden Gilliland helped keep the 6-game win streak alive for his Golden Eagles as he hit 625. You heard me, not a typo. 625 with 10 hits and 16 ABs, had 2 doubles and a homer, driving in 6, and scored 7 times himself. So how about that? And on the bump, it was Andrew Devine, who has been a great ball player for a long time. Austin P. redshirt senior now earned the pitching honor as the Texas Tech transfer through a complete game, 1-hit shutout, struck out 12 over 7, which is the most strikeouts by an Austin P pitcher in a single game since 2019. He improved to 2-0 on the year, allowed just one hit, a one-out double in the first inning. He then retired 8 straight before allowing a leadoff walk in the fourth and then sat down the next 12, including 7 on strikeouts.
Jeez.
For softball, it was Union University's sweep over the weekend as junior Zoe Neal was named Player of the Week, whilst Lainey Baker is the Pitcher of the Week. Neal was 6 for 14 with 3 home runs and 14 ribbies. She scored 5 as well. She had a walk-off grand slam in the series finale against Delta State. Lainey Baker threw 8 innings, allowing 2 runs, 1 earned on 2 hits. She threw a complete game 1 hitter in the series opener, and then also threw the final frame in the second game. And across the 8 innings of work, she struck out 14 hitters. Those are your Tennessee Sports Writers Association Players of the Week.
Solid performances all around. Congrats to all of the honorees. Our originally scheduled top story. There is only one former Middle Tennessee State safety suiting up for the Philadelphia Eagles, or there will only be one, because the Athletic is reporting that the Philadelphia Eagles will release Kevin Byard after just 10 games following his midseason trade by the Titans to Philadelphia. 75 tackles, an interception, and 3 pass breakups over those 10 games. But not especially impressive. Neither he nor the team over that stretch. So, and apparently this is going to be, it's more of a financial move than anything. It sounds like they'll gain $13 million in cap savings by releasing him, according to Over the Cap. So, Kevin Byard on the move.
Yeah, I mentioned this to Terry McCormick, 2 or 3 days ago, I guess. Said we knew he was going to be available. Is he an option for the Titans? I think in a secondary that has as many struggles as the Titans have, plus, again, the leadership that he brings. Now, would he want to come back here after having been traded? I don't know. But I do think that he does have value and may have more value in the Titans organization than anywhere else.
But the flip side of that is, with a new coaching staff, how much value does he have as a Titan?
It's the defensive staff is, there's going to be so much turnover. I don't know the answer to that, but I do think the leadership value is probably the value that you're getting from Byard more than anything.
I guess my thought would be, what sort of contract is he expecting, and what sort of contract could the Titans potentially offer? Because, I do really like potentially the idea of the leadership angle, potentially regardless of what coaching philosophies kind of look like. But it will be – and also, if you take Kevin kind of at his face value, it seemed like when he left Nashville, he was really kind of disappointed that he didn't get to – he was one of those guys that talked about, I want to play my entire career here. And – just kind of hearing that, I just kind of took him at his word, because it seemed very genuine. So I wouldn't, any other player, any other franchise, would be saying, no way he's going to come back. But I wouldn't be essentially shocked if he did maybe make a run back in Nashville.
Yeah, and after he gave kind of a good faith effort in taking that pay cut to allow the team to make the signing of DeAndre Hopkins. The good thing is the Titans have more cap space than anybody. So if they can afford if there's a team out there that can afford a contract for a leadership guy only, it's probably the Titans.
I don't think he's going to be a leadership only guy is the thing. I don't know. It feels like his best days on the field may be behind him. Did not record a sack, a tackle for a loss, or a forced fumble in 10 games with Philadelphia, but
had a 74% completion percentage against him. Yeah.
Ooh.
This is my point, that if he's, again, I feel like he has some value, not nearly as much as he had prior to last year.
Sure. So
the internet obviously as at least Titans Twitter has, taken a quick glancing blow at Kevin. Kevin Byard's record as a Titan, 71-56. And then you have the quote, you're a winner now. Things are done differently here. It's referring to Philadelphia. His record as a Philadelphia Eagle was 5-6.
I don't know if that's necessarily a shot at Byard or if that's another shot at A.J. Brown.
I think more of the culture of the Eagles, perhaps.
Yeah, A.J. has become kind of public enemy number one in a lot of Titans fan base corners, and it's kind of unfortunate, but he's kind of brought some of it on himself as well. So at any rate, Kevin Byard expected to be a free agent here pretty soon. Will certainly be interesting to see where he winds up and if it is in Nashville. And it's kind of tough to be the mayor of Murfreesboro from anywhere other than Nashville, right?
Yeah, it feels like it'd be a long commute.
It does feel like it'd be a long commute. So yeah,
you don't want to be an absentee mayor by any stretch.
No.
So yeah, you kind of gotta
get on back here. Yeah.
Speaking of Murfreesboro, you touched on it in your open there, Mo. I mean, big shoes now for Reed Blankenship to step into, who has done well in his first couple of seasons with the Eagles, and he's been really kind of, to me, a pleasant surprise for them, and he's kind of holding down the fort, as you said, as the resident Blue Raider now in that secondary.
Absolutely, and I guess he's got a Super Bowl ring too, right?
Well, as surprises go, I don't know that anybody within the Murfreesboro circle is surprised that Reed Blankenship is having success at the professional level. Now, it's probably a surprise to everybody else in the country, but anybody who watched that kid play in college knew what the Eagles were getting.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. No ring for Reed. They lost to Kansas City 2 years ago. My bad. But he's got to feel like he's next on the list after those guys from the past Super Bowl with the Chiefs. So when we come back here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, we will be joined by Sirius XM college football talk show host Chris Childers. And I'm intrigued by the upcoming conversation. Stick around, you will be too. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Your favorite wine tasting experience is back. The Hendersonville Rotary Club's Wine and Roses Fundraising Gala. Everything you loved and more. Saturday, March the 2nd. Prepare your taste buds for elegant wines, smooth whiskeys, craft beers, and exceptional food. Browse through the silent auction, all to benefit over 25 local charities, schools, and scholarships. Wine and Roses, Saturday, March the 2nd at Our Lady of the Lake Catholic Church, Hendersonville. HendersonvilleRotary.org.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA. With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. The city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Welcome back to the weekend update edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, flanked by Chris Yao on my left, Wade Neely on
the right.
And here he is.
In the
Can
flesh.
y'all still hear me?
We can
We
now.
got you.
Okay, all right. But you couldn't. Okay, my bad.
It was a dramatic pause is all it was.
Yeah, we are now joined by Sirius XM college football personality, Chris Childers. Chris, what's up?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you, man. I know we were slated to have you earlier in the week, and some issues prevented you from being able to come in with us, but glad you were able to get in today. And Chris, I reached out to you. You're an MTSU alumnus, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I graduated in January 04, so it's been a couple decades, but yes.
Well, trust me, it's been a couple and then some on this end. But wanted to get some input from you regarding the recent coaching change on our campus. And you warned me when I reached out to you and asked you if we could discuss this. And you said, I'm not a fan of the newly named Derek Mason as a hire. And I don't want to put words in your mouth. So I'm fascinated, though, by what it is you don't like about it.
I don't think it can work. I honestly think we regressed. I think we went backward. We didn't upgrade. If you're going to get rid of somebody like Rick Stockstill, who I think is a rock solid football coach, you better be going in a direction where you really believe the program is going to improve. And I don't see that. I think Derek Mason is a guy, so they want to get somebody to re-energize the program, to reinvigorate, to get people in the stands. I don't see how Derek Mason's that guy. I don't see how a guy who could get, maybe a handful of home fans to show up at Vanderbilt on West End and, 99% of the home games were dominated by the other team. I just don't understand how that's that guy. I know Vanderbilt's in a unique situation, but to me, having studied Derek, having covered Derek, having been around Derek, I think he's a good coach. I think he's a really good defensive coordinator. I just don't think in this modern era that Derek Mason's going to be an upgrade. Rick Stockstill, to me, should still be the head coach at Middle Tennessee. It bothered me to the end of the earth that we made the move. And the reason being, Stockstill, to me, was really good at maximizing more. I just don't think how many people in the Middle Tennessee area understand how bad our school is. And I'm saying that with all due respect, but our facilities are absolute trash. I know they're getting better. I know they've broken ground. I know they're moving in the right direction. Geographically, we're at a disadvantage based on where we're at compared to other schools that we compete with. We just don't have a lot going for us. And to me, to have a coach that was consistently going to bowl games, that was consistently finding ways to beat bigger opponents like Miami 2 years ago. I really believe that people didn't understand how good they had it with Rick Stockstill and how Rick was able to maximize a bad situation. It really made me mad, honestly, when Chris Massaro had the gall to say that he compared Stockstill to the other teams in the conference, and that was the measuring stick. And I think that's BS, because I'll compare Chris then to all the other leagues, teams in the league, and say that we're behind. We don't have the kind of bells and whistles that other people have. Go look around, go visit, go to other schools. Hell, go to like South Alabama, and you'd be like, hold on a second. That's what they're working with, and we're working with like, paper Dixie cups and strings until they get this this place going. I don't know if Derek Mason. Look, we're in an impossible situation when it comes to keeping players. If we have anybody that's good, they're going to leave. We don't have NIL. We don't have stuff like that that's going to be able to be competitive. We need a coach, in my opinion, that was going to go out there and be an entertainer. He was going to go out there and beat the drum. He was going to figure out a way. Like in my fantasy world, there was going to be somebody we would attract that was going to be able to go out there, and he was going to be flamboyant, and he was going to be, an outspoken, and he was going to be somebody that got into Nashville, got the entertainment business, said, hey, this will be, you can own our team. You can own it, NIL the hell out of it, country music business, get involved. Let's find a way to be different. And I just don't think Derek Mason is a guy that is going to be creative. I think he's probably 3 or 4 years when we're doing this again.
It's an interesting concept. As one, Chris, I think that you're probably right in obviously the comparison of the facilities. I don't think South Alabama is a fair comparison, considering that they only started their program a decade ago. But
we'll go to Western Kentucky. Then. I mean, any of them.
I understand, but I'm curious how we expect to get more when, sure, beat Miami. Now, understand, I'm a Jacksonville State grad, so I hope I hope this hire sucks. I hope you're exactly right in that Derek Mason. I hope it's terrible, but that's neither here nor there. That being said, now, I mean, sure, you can beat Miami and you can beat Missouri and you can win those games, but you lost a conference championship in your own building. You didn't play for another one. I mean, sure, that Conference USA was better. This one was awful, and he sucked.
Not with Liberty, though. And the thing is, here's what people need to understand. We cannot keep players. If you're any good at all, like, we're getting picked clean at the end of the season. If we're good, our guys are going elsewhere. They're going to transfer. They're going to go other places. They're going to have a chance to play right away. To me, when you're at such a disadvantage, if you can be competitive at all, you're in a pretty good situation. I truly believe, like, there are schools that have competitive NIL at this level. And we're certainly not even, I mean, we don't even have a collective. I can't even find where to give money to if I want to be a part of it. That's a problem. That needs to be fixed. That needs to be addressed. That needs to be a part of this. There needs to be a community that understands that you can't complain about the results unless you're actually helping, because now that's a part of it. You have to get your hard-earned money. It's just it's the nature of the beast right now. That's where we're at in the world of college athletics. To me, Stockstill was solid. I think he's a guy that was able to maximize more from less. He was a water hose drinking guy. I think people are going to realize how tough the Middle Tennessee job is without a guy like Rick Stockstill there to kind of mask some of the deficiencies. Now, I know we're getting better as far as facilities. Thank God. It's super long overdue. You know, I used South Alabama as a reference. Go look at anybody. I mean, I've been all over the place. I travel around. I cover college football for a living, and I just kind of see how things are. And you got to understand geographically, Tennessee is not a great state for recruiting. It's getting better. I mean, our population obviously has boomed, but it's not Florida. It's not Mississippi. It's not Georgia. So it's tough. And now we're in a league with this Liberty that can spend anything they want. They got endless supplies of money, and they're spending, $5-6 million on a football coach. That's going to be hard to catch on an annual basis. That's going to be difficult. So, in my opinion, Derek Mason, there's nothing about him that says this guy's going to work in the modern era of college athletics. There's nothing about his resume. There's nothing about his background that says, oh, we've upgraded. And that's what bothered me. To me, you have to get somebody. I want somebody that's going to be in the press conference saying, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm getting the community involved. We're going to raise this money. Find ways to make Middle Tennessee cool. Because we have things that we can play up to that can give us an advantage, but we never do it. We don't do anything creative. We stay in our little Middle Tennessee bubble, and we kind of, bathe in mediocrity all the time. And to me, there's more potential to unlock in this program if somebody'd be willing to do it.
Chris Childers of Sirius XM Radio joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And Chris, I hear what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It makes sense. My question is, how much of that is coach related and how much of that is administration related?
A ton of it. I think Sidney McPhee is terrible. I've been saying that forever. As an alumnus, I will beat that drum. I think he has meddled far too much in athletics. What bothers me, go back and look at the end of the Kermit Davis era, and we just let our basketball program rot. Our basketball program with Nick McDevitt, and I think this guy is, McPhee gets so into the hiring process. I know firsthand, I had a friend that was a candidate for the job at MTSU, and I know what the process was like because I talked to him about it. He's the one who's making the hire. It's not Massaro. And that to me is a problem because I think Chris Massaro is actually one of the better athletic directors in the country. I think he's smart. I think he's savvy. I think he's budget savvy. I think he's a guy that's been able to maximize who we are and work. I mean, look at the coaches that have had longevity under him, whether it be Rick Insell, Kermit Davis was a decade and a half. Rick Stockstill was, a decade and a half plus. There's a lot of, and think about how rare that is, especially for a place like Murfreesboro, Tennessee, in a school at the level of middle. To have coaches be successful and stay for a decade and a half is unheard of. But to me, when you get the university president too involved in the hiring process, and I think Nick McDevitt and Derek Mason were Sidney McPhee hires, I think you're cutting the knees out from Chris Massaro. And we had a massive opportunity to capitalize on where we were as a basketball program. Kermit laid an incredible foundation, and we just kind of let it rot. And it's so disappointing. We beat Western over the weekend. That was the only time I've been happy in God knows how long when it comes to watching that team. It's frustrating. So to me, in my opinion, he's too involved. Be a university president. A lot of good things have happened at Middle Tennessee and I don't want to be Johnny Naysayer here because I love my school, but I study this stuff every day. And I know schools and I acknowledge schools and I recognize schools that do it the right way. And then I do see schools that, kind of step over themselves. And I think with Sidney McPhee, in my opinion, again, just athletically, I think as a university president, he does a swell job. But I think his hands are far too deep into the athletic cookie jar, in my opinion.
Chris, as we've talked about the Derek Mason hire, and obviously it seems like we have a pretty firm grasp on where you land, but I'm curious, what are one or two things that Derek or Coach Mason could do that would either surprise you or potentially make you at least pause and say, okay, this was unexpected and maybe a step in the right direction? And I'm curious just what one or two things like that would potentially look like.
Well, I'll be curious to see, what this team looks like in the spring and on, spring game day, and to see what they look like athletically, to see what the line of scrimmage looks like. You're only as good if they've done a nice job of addressing situations on the line of scrimmage, and I can look out there and see that there's guys that I think can legitimately stop the run and get after the quarterback, which really is at this level, especially, you're only as good as your guys up front. I don't care how good you are at the skill spots, how good you are at quarterback. You have to be good. If I can go there and be like, oh, okay, he's got a little something, I might change my mind. I might think that this team has a chance to be pretty competitive. I don't know, though. And the thing about it is you guys recognize it's such a guess. I mean, nowadays, we just don't know. I talked to a coach about this the last couple of days on my show at Rick Neuheisel on Full Ride. And you know what's amazing about this modern era of roster acquisition is that coaches call it speed dating. Remember before when, what I mean by that is, remember before, these coaches used to get, years worth of relationships in before they made a commitment to a kid. And the kid made the commitment to them. Nowadays with the portal, you're kind of guessing. You're kind of hoping that this kid's going to fit. He's going to fit our mission. He's going to fit as a character. His athletic ability is going to fit. And when you're doing that a lot of times with the portal in a given year, you could either be really lucky and it works, or it could be a disaster. So with this team, that's like, we make fun of these I used to love the preview magazines, go get the Athlon or the Sporting News. Those guys can't even, those magazines aren't accurate because when they put them out, we don't even know who's on the teams.
Right.
So I'll be curious to see what middle looks like from an athletic standpoint, just getting out there and watching them in spring ball. And if they look, a little bigger, a little plumper, a little more athletic than I thought, then, maybe I'll be a little bit more encouraged about the start of the year.
Once Rick was gone, Chris, was there somebody that you would have had in mind that would have been a better fit for MTSU than Derek Mason? Were there somebodies, plural, that you felt like would have been a better fit that were realistic options for middle?
All right, I don't want to be too big of a homer, and me not liking Derek as a hire has nothing. I want to be very, very clear.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with who they didn't hire.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is going to sound weird, but I wanted them, and he did interview in person. But I wanted it to be Rick Neuheisel. And the reason I wanted it to be Rick Neuheisel is because Rick Neuheisel, to me, has a vision for how to succeed at that level in this modern era. I talk to him every day about it. I understand he's the personality. He's the flamboyance. He's the guy with the guitar. He's the one that would be in the honky tonks in Nashville and recruiting Chris Young to, essentially run his program with him. And to me, if you could have gotten the celebrities of Nashville to truly buy in, and nobody would have done it better than Rick, that's now how we separate ourselves. That's how we create an identity. Let them be the pseudo owners. Let the country music community take over the program and be the pseudo owners. And by the way, we're going to private equity probably eventually with these athletic departments. Why not let it be that industry? Because I truly believe that could be our ticket to be something unique, and it could be our ticket to get into the college football playoff. That opportunity exists. We can make the playoff now. That's real. And I don't see any reason why you can't be taking advantage of a community of celebrities that love football and say, I know it's not Georgia, I know it's not Alabama, but this is 30 minutes from you, and you could essentially own it. And you're going to have your hands all over it. And he believed in that vision. To me, that is the vision that the only vision I think that can make this program separate and special in this NIL era, in this world of name, image, and likeness and collective. So,
yeah, but they weren't going to hire a guy named Rick.
Well,
this is the problem. He should have changed his name.
I think they were closer than you think.
Were they going to hire a 63-year-old, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was closer than you think.
I can tell you, I had never heard that name, and I'm not doubting you because
it happened in Atlanta, and our boy McPhee messed it up. So, there you go.
That's very intriguing. Today I learned. I mean,
he's gonna be very pissed that I said this out loud, because he's very quiet about his interviews and stuff like that, because he does want to coach again. But he's
going to hear it. I can tell you.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Trust me. And I think he would have been a guy like that. I think you need a showman. I don't think a football coach will do anymore in this world of NIL. I think you need a football coach and a showman.
Especially at the mid-major, quote, level, probably. You need some type of a gimmick, like you said.
Oh, we had it all planned out, dude. His sister lives in Franklin. I mean, we had a life planned, baby. We had a life plan.
That's wild.
Yep.
As sweet as his CBS Sports gig is, he was going to give that up to go back on the sideline, huh?
Yeah, he would, and especially at a place like Middle. Rick loves Nashville. He loves the entertainment business. He loves to, just be moving and shaking. And I think Middle Tennessee would have been a really good fit for him as far as lifestyle. But that would have been a great one for me. If it wasn't my guy, if it wasn't my radio partner, I wanted somebody young who really understood how to grind out this era of college athletics. That would have been my take. Some coordinator somewhere, whatever, that would have really that had a track record with recruiting guys in this NIL era, and the transfer portal would have been my pick.
That's interesting. I'm very intrigued by that whole situation that you just laid out there. Chris Childers with Sirius XM Sports Talk. And Chris, appreciate your time, man. Appreciate you coming on with us, and hopefully we can catch up with you again here soon.
You're welcome, guys. Thanks for having me. I hate to be so negative. I feel like I was so negative, and I promise you I'm a happy person. I'm smiling now for those that can't see.
We'll get you back at a better time, maybe.
Absolutely. We'll get you back and talk about
like Middle Tennessee. So I'm probably the biggest MTSU women's basketball fan. So if you want me to be positive, get me back on to talk about that, because
Are you going to Senior Day tomorrow?
Of course.
I'll see you over there.
I love those girls. Yeah, I'll come say hi to you. Absolutely.
Do that. We'll talk, man. I appreciate it. Chris Childers with us here on
Go Raiders.
On Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we're going to keep talking college football, so stay with us after the break.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Your favorite wine tasting experience is back. The Hendersonville Rotary Club's Wine and Roses Fundraising Gala. Everything you loved and more. Saturday, March the 2nd. Prepare your taste buds for elegant wines, smooth whiskeys, craft beers, and exceptional food. Browse through the silent auction, all to benefit over 25 local charities, schools, and scholarships. Wine and Roses, Saturday, March the 2nd at Our Lady of the Lake Catholic Church, Hendersonville. HendersonvilleRotary.org.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA. With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome back to the weekend update edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Maurice Patton, Wade Neely, Chris Yao, and we're going to keep the college football conversation going here because there is
plenty of it.
There is plenty of it, including the idea that 12 may not be enough for the playoffs.
I mean, why stop at 12, right?
Why stop at 12? Why even? Yeah, let's just get 14 for this year. Why 14 though? I've not read any of this. Yeah, bring us up to speed.
Nope.
Struck a nerve.
Okay. Oh. First of all, 14 makes the least sense of anything.
I mean, if you're going to go, why 14? What is it? What's the rationale behind 14?
Because the Big Ten champion and the SEC champion get automatic buys. That's why the Big Ten and SEC are even thinking about going along with it. So they get the automatic buys from both sides. Now,
would they have to be 1 and 2 to do that?
No.
Oh, you're just going to give Big Ten and SEC
that is the plan that is being circulated.
Whatever their seed is.
No, it doesn't matter. Big Ten champ, SEC champ, get the auto buys.
Oh, good Lord.
That is why they are okay with this because, that this is why they are only getting 3 automatic bids instead of 4.
Do they actually think other folks are going to go along with that? Or does it matter?
It clearly didn't get shot down immediately.
Oh.
Because here's the thing. Much like you have said, the NCAA needs Power 5 football more than Power 5 football needs the NCAA. Mm-hmm. The ACC and the Big 12 need the SEC and the Big 10 more than the SEC and Big 10 need them. And so it's kind of like they're really being held hostage here.
And so they are just going to continue to hang on to that as long as they can for as much as they can, I guess it's the Big Ten and SEC, right? They just whatever else they can get out of that.
This power grab. And that's what it is. It's a power grab.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. It's terrible for college football. It's terrible for everybody, including the SEC and Big Ten, by the way.
Interesting. I'm sure you guys are brushed up on the UEFA Champions League, which you may be wondering why the heck I'm bringing that up. But from the Athletic, kind of this model somewhat mimics what they do with the Champions League, where it's kind of weighted, as Chris is alluding to, the upper tier leagues, quote unquote, get prioritized spots. And the Athletic says that the 3-3-2-2-1 model would kind of almost, flight the champs from the. Now, what would be interesting, obviously, is if they just rotated. Soccer is kind of more of a fluid situation, but this sounds more like a ironclad contract type situation. What would be kind of interesting is if the Big 12 wins the national championship, all of a sudden the next year they're one of the leagues that gets the automatic bye, kind of as if you back it up on the field from the year prior. But it sounds like, you could be looking at a situation where another league has the top 2 or 3 teams, and we're just going to go ahead and send Ole Miss or send Ohio State all the way through to the next round, which is it's very interesting. And I'm glad Gal got a cleansing breath in before, because that was still spirited enough. But if he had not got the cleansing breath,
he definitely needed a little woosah right there.
I'm so frustrated by this because when we talked with Bill Hancock 2 years ago, and he said, 12 is probably the number we're going to come up with. And he talked about how it was the perfect number that doesn't devalue the regular season while also not devaluing, the playoff, and brings some value to the playoff. But it also, the top 4 seeds getting the bye makes the regular season matter. It doesn't hurt conference championships and all of these things. And to me,
here's the thing.
It was perfect.
Bill Hancock meant all of that.
Exactly. So this whole Greg
Corruption.
Sankey and Big Ten situation, this just feels like nothing but a power grab. It's extortion to some degree, and that is why just like Matt Brown said last week and on yesterday's Throwback Thursday segment, there are going to be programs who can afford to play at this level, and there are going to be a lot more programs who can't. And we're going to find out who they are in the next few years if this is the way that college football continues to go.
Either can't or choose not to.
Right. I mean, there are plenty who will be like, we don't have to do this.
And it will be that's I guess going to be the next thing to watch, is who kind of gets pushed to the wayside or who steps to the wayside. A guy that I follow, Joel Anderson, had a tweet to that effect a couple of weeks ago, and I reached out to him about getting him on the show. It's just a matter of getting him on. But, there are going to be some schools, and it won't be necessarily schools that you would expect, that just kind of bow out of this thing.
Yeah, I feel like that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, you'll have some schools like Nebraska who will be super excited because they're going to be one of the 16 or 24 teams who decide to opt into this.
Are they?
And suddenly they're relevant again. Oh, absolutely. Because they can buy their relevance.
Buy a seat at the table, as it were.
Well, right. You're buying. So if you're only competing with 23 other schools or 31 other schools, it's a lot better than trying to compete with 64 Power 5 schools. You're at the upper echelon. Players are only going to go to these, the top players are going to go to these top 32 schools, and you're one of them. And Nebraska absolutely wants to be one of them.
I love some of the other chatter coming out of this, that all 10 of the conference commissioners and the athletic director for Notre Dame, they're just always the outlier in this situation. They got together. And
speaking of cleansing breaths, Wade, because the whole Notre Dame thing has been a sore spot with me for years. Get in a conference or go away.
Hey, I mean, if it weren't March, I would be right there with the slander of Notre Dame, but we'll give it a little bit of a St. Patrick's night, I suppose. But yeah, this is kind of just the crazy world that we're in. And ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips saying last week, at the end of the day, it's what's right. It's what's the right model for 2026 and beyond. It was him questioning, I suppose. He said, we're going to continue to listen to one another and try and practically put something together. Hold on to your hats here. That is good for college football, good for conferences and Notre Dame. That was in the quote. And also for the health and well-being long-term of college football. So, yeah, they're just kind of just continuously somehow relevant in all of this, despite the fact they're maintaining that independence.
Well, despite the fact that they're not relevant. I mean, how close
More
were they
often
to
than not.
Where were they in the CFP rankings this past year? Do we know? Were they in the top 10?
No.
So,
here's my problem with this. You're essentially guaranteeing a 3-loss Big Ten or SEC team to get into the playoffs. Penn State, 0-3 against 3 ranked opponents last year, would have gotten into the playoffs because they were able to beat Maryland and Illinois. Congratulations.
all right.
Instead of Tulane or SMU, they get in just because they're in the Big Ten.
Yep.
It's absurd.
Rank has its privilege.
It's not
Or
worth it.
something like that.
And that's why, and again, look, Penn State folks are going to watch the television. They're going to turn the television on. That's just the way it is. That's what matters. And I have been a proponent of the 12-team playoff, of expanding the playoff from 4 to 12 from the moment we started talking about it. Mo, you were right there with me the entire time.
Sure.
14, 16, anything more than 12 is absolutely the wrong move. You're going to Major League Baseball this, and it's going to screw it up. And we're not going to be able to put the genie back in the bottle.
No. I mean, the number only continues to get larger. It's not going to get any smaller from wherever it goes. So, I mean, 12, and I move that the nominations cease, but we certainly need a second on that. So, we want to keep talking college football after the break, or do we want to talk a little Major League Baseball? Because
wherever you go, both.
Plenty of both.
Yeah. Who says we can't do both?
This is another one of those 20 pounds of potatoes.
As Alan Jackson said, who says you can't have it all?
Well, we will figure out exactly what we're going to have when we come back for the second hour of the weekend update edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia from our respective Lee Company studios. Come back with us after this break.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Your favorite wine tasting experience is back. The Hendersonville Rotary Club's Wine and Roses Fundraising Gala. Everything you loved and more. Saturday, March the 2nd. Prepare your taste buds for elegant wines, smooth whiskeys, craft beers, and exceptional food. Browse through the silent auction, all to benefit over 25 local charities, schools, and scholarships. Wine and Roses, Saturday, March the 2nd at Our Lady of the Lake Catholic Church, Hendersonville. HendersonvilleRotary.org.
We thrive under the lights. The city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Welcome back to the second hour of the weekend update edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Wade Neely, Maurice Patton, Chris Yao going left to right on your screen. And
Three amigos.
Yes. We're the three best friends that anyone could have, right? Yeah. Let's delve into a little Major League Baseball because this college football stuff is going to be here. But interesting name showed up in an article on The Athletic here in the last couple of days. Kenny Lofton. Some remember
Braves
him.
legend.
Braves legend Kenny Lofton.
Astros legend.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. He
Draft pick.
Oh,
he was drafted by the Astros. Came up with the Indians. I think he spent one season with Atlanta the year after they won the World Series. It was the 96 season that he was in Atlanta, I do believe. But he is being inducted into the Arizona Basketball Ring of Honor. Quiet as it's kept, he was kind of on the forefront of some of those great Arizona basketball teams that they had over there in the, I guess, late 80s, early 90s, and decided kind of on a whim after his junior year of basketball to go back to baseball that he had played in high school. And next thing you know, he's carved out a nice little Major League Baseball season. But I think he started 128 games for Arizona and didn't put up great numbers through his career, but was really recognized as kind of a cornerstone of what that program went on to accomplish under Lute Olson. So congrats to Kenny Lofton. I just thought that was really intriguing. Again, nice article on The Athletic on how he evolved from basketball to baseball.
I should have worn my Kenny Lofton Braves jersey today. I didn't know that we were talking about Kenny or when I was at home earlier, or I would have donned the Kenny Lofton Braves spring training jersey that I own.
Okay, so the obvious question is, why do you have a Kenny Lofton Braves jersey?
Well, the answer is much like many of my friends back in the early to mid 2000s, spent a lot of time and money at America's thrift stores. So
sorry, I got my Mariners hats back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, look, dude, I bought so many. Listen, at one time I had like 14 replica NBA basketball jerseys of just random people, like people you'd never heard of.
Clearly. I misspoke. It was 97 that he was in Atlanta.
Hey, and while we're going down the Kenny Lofton rabbit hole here, I'm doing some wiki, which is always a great place to get lost. How about this? He was the backup to Craig McMillan, but also the backup, obviously, to Steve Kerr on a team that goes to the Final Four in '88. And then he was the starting point guard the next year when they go to the Sweet 16. But here's the nugget that really caught my eye. He's only one of two men that have played in a Final Four and a World Series. And the other, this is crazy.
Hang on a minute. Stop.
All right, I'm going to give you a little moment here.
Oh, is it Lyle Mouton?
It is not Lyle Mouton, but that's a quality guess. Yao, do you have a guess?
I have no idea.
Is he from LSU?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, wait a minute. It's not Ryan Miner, is it? Okay, I'm out.
The other is Tim Stoddard.
North Carolina State.
North Carolina State. But how about this? Kenny Lofton and Tim Stoddard both went to East Chicago, Washington High School.
I did not know that.
What?
So
What?
that is the most mind-blowing thing I've read, that two guys went to the same high school and they're the answer to the same trivia question. Who are the only two men to ever play in a Final Four and a World Series?
That is a stat that you will not hear anywhere else than right here on Main Street Sports today, folks. Cut that out.
Tim Stoddard and Kenny Lofton are both graduates of Washington High School in East Chicago. Both went on to play in a Final Four and a World Series, and no one else has done it.
That is incredible.
That's bonkers.
That's amazing.
You got lost on Wiki.
Because
that was worth the price of admission right there.
That blew my mind, and
that's worth the show right there. We might as well shut it down right here.
We absolutely.
I'm not sure it's going to get any better than that.
You know, I'm going to go to Mexican restaurants across southern Middle Tennessee for the next 6 months, hoping that nugget somehow comes
That's a
up,
trivia question.
because I'm prepared now, just in the event that does pop up.
If you show up on the third Tuesday at Southern Springs in Spring Hill, it may in fact be the final trivia question to double your score for the night.
Okay, I like where this is going. I love a little insider information when I hear
This
it.
may be the plot.
Rigging the
The
game,
ringer
huh?
walks in.
There we
Whose
go.
table will he sit at?
Yeah, that's mind blowing. And so you got two guys go to the same high school, and then they both go on to play in the Final Four and the World Series.
I'm mind blown.
And obviously, Kenny Lofton, kind of like Yal's point a moment ago, he's one of those kind of seminal figures in Major League Baseball of my childhood. Just him and Griffey were two of the coolest guys to ever do it back in the day. And he was so electric, and obviously great run with the then Indians, and then obviously a great season in Atlanta, which was memorable, so memorable, like we said, that Yal bought a spring training jersey, no less, you mentioned. So all in all, a fantastic career, and kind of cool to see him getting recognized for an achievement I think a lot of folks obviously probably were unaware of prior to watching this show today.
There you go. Speaking of Braves outfielders, one did not take the field in spring training today. Ronald Acuna Jr. scratched for soreness in the right knee.
Boo, hiss.
Yeah.
No one likes to hear that, but I'm sure he's fine.
Better on March 1st than a lot of later dates. So we'll take it. We've talked about Rob Manfred's pending retirement. Trying to figure out ways to speed up the process. A name that has emerged as a potential successor, Theo Epstein.
It's certainly he's certainly a baseball guy.
Yes, which is more than you can say about the current guy.
And I think that would be okay.
I saw an article yesterday. I meant to link it to the Run of Show, and it didn't link. But it seems he's worked pretty much at every level of baseball, from media relations to, scouting departments to obviously GM, and, snap Boston's long World Series drought, snap the Cubs' long World Series drought. I mean, he's had a lot of success as an administrator in Major League Baseball, and he's a baseball guy, like you said, Chris. So maybe that is a gig that would fit his background.
Well, and he's a guy that when I look at the story, I hadn't really thought about potential a succession plan, but I'm like, yeah, I could see that. And it kind of, like you're laying out, Mo, kind of does follow a pretty solid trajectory of a guy that's a lifelong baseball guy. And obviously, who knows what his tenure potentially would look like. But I would not be shocked if you had told me that. And then obviously, I see him at the top of our list here that we're looking at.
He had worked with MLB as a consultant to the commissioner's office on various matters before joining Fenway Sports Group here recently, which owns a soccer club and something else, I think, in addition to the Red Sox. So again, Manfred isn't supposed to retire until 28 or 29. Unfortunately, may it happen sooner, but there's a name.
And the real, the real front runner is definitely Dan Hallam, right? I mean, he's essentially being groomed, such as Manfred was under Seelig. This is a guy who's been in negotiation with the players for a long time. And
I guess my question is, though, do you want anybody that's currently associated with Manfred in that spot?
Well, this is a guy who goes back to the Seelig days, though. And I think Bud Seelig was a pretty decent commissioner. I think Rob Manfred had some wild ideas, but when you're talking about, the number one goal of Major League Baseball's commissioner is, one, to grow the game, but two, to make the players happy while also keeping Major League Baseball entity, safe. And he's a guy who's done that twice. So he's probably the front runner. I think Theo Epstein would be a fantastic hire, would probably be the best hire possible. But one, does he want the job? And two, would they give it to him?
Those are two valid questions. Because, if he doesn't want it, then it doesn't matter. And if they wouldn't give it to him, then it doesn't matter. But it sure would be nice, I think. So
I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah. When we come back on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, we have in the green room right now Christopher Gabriel coming to us from the West Coast. Talk a little UT basketball as they get ready for their big tilt tomorrow night down in Tuscaloosa against the Tide. So promises to be a lively discussion. Stay with us as we get into it after this break. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Your favorite wine tasting experience is back. The Hendersonville Rotary Club's Wine and Roses Fundraising Gala. Everything you loved and more. Saturday, March the 2nd. Prepare your taste buds for elegant wines, smooth whiskeys, craft beers, and exceptional food. Browse through the silent auction, all to benefit over 25 local charities, schools, and scholarships. Wine and Roses, Saturday, March the 2nd at Our Lady of the Lake Catholic Church, Hendersonville. HendersonvilleRotary.org.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. The city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
The weekend update edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, continues here from the Lee Company studios of Wade Neely, Chris Yao, and Maurice Patton. And we are now joined by, from the left coast, Christopher Gabriel, sporting his orange in anticipation of the meeting that will determine the outright leader of the Southeastern Conference by the end of it tomorrow night when Tennessee and Alabama tip it off in Tuscaloosa. Christopher, good afternoon.
Fellas, it's good to be with you. Rainy, and I'm going to give you the West Coast version here. It's really cold today. It's about 61 degrees. Folks here walking around in parkas and, loading up at the grocery store for a long siege of rain. I heard you talking about baseball. Listen, I got to say respectfully, I don't want anybody connected to Bud Selig in that office. I want nobody. As a Chicagoan, all Bud Selig ever cared about was doing whatever he could do for the Brewers, which is smart because he was the Brewers owner. But he finagled his way out of the American League to get into the National League because he wanted Cubs and Cardinals fans coming to Milwaukee, not White Sox and Twins fans. And then Bud Selig's legacy, as far as I'm concerned, is the tie in the All-Star game. So I think Theo Epstein is a phenomenal idea, despite the fact that he was the man heading the Cubs. Did a great job on the north side, but keep me away from anybody associated with Bud Selig. And I say that respectfully.
Respectfully. Yeah. Chris, this ball game tomorrow night, we're pretty excited about it. And as I look at the standings in the Southeastern Conference, I'm amazed. There are 6 teams with double-digit wins already in conference play. I mean, it just speaks to, we knew that this conference had been good this year, but when you look at those numbers, it just kind of slaps you in the face. And again, Tennessee and Alabama at the top of the conference, each at 12-3 going into this matchup tomorrow. Clearly a marquee matchup, and Tennessee's number 4 in this week's rankings. Alabama's 14. What do you like about this game? What do you like about this team right now?
Well, I'm going to take the latter first. The game I have concerns about. The team I'm very excited about. A couple of weeks ago, looking at this 4-game stretch of Auburn, Alabama, South Carolina, Kentucky, obviously the hope is that the Vols can go 4-0. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm hoping more 3-1. But this team, I don't know that I'm going to break news. This is a team that I think has evolved, and the way they have evolved, the way the program has evolved, is because Rick Barnes has evolved. I have not seen a Rick Barnes team at Tennessee run, push tempo, get out in transition the way they have done this year. At any other time in his tenure in Knoxville, I think he recognized what happened last year, among other games. The game at Madison Square Garden, that game, the Vols looked like they were just slogging through mud most of the night. This is a team that has great athleticism. I'm not going to say they have gazelles, but they have guys that can get out on the break. They have the guy, arguably one of the best point guards in the country, to get them out on the break and get the ball to the right people in the right moment in Zakai Ziegler, whether it's Josiah Jordan-James, or whether certainly Dalton Connect. We can talk for an hour about DK. Guys on this team get out, they fill the lanes, and even when they don't have numbers, they have looked to push. Even if it's 3-on-3, they have looked to push. And this team has the ability, with guys like Dalton Connect, then to get a guy, get him on the wing, skip pass, open shot, and more often than not, they're draining it. This team can put a lot of stress, a lot of pressure on defenses. That's what I like about them. They can beat you in the half court. They can beat you in the open court. They can beat you in pretty much every way. The times that this team gets in trouble is when a team is really good, especially on their offensive boards. I think the Vols, and I'm being facetious with this stat that I'm going to make up, I think the Vols lead the nation in giving up long rebounds. And, that's just a matter of, as Dennis Rodman would say, understanding positioning, understanding that if you're taking a 25-foot shot, the ball's going to come off the rim pretty hard. We rarely get our guys in the right position. So as far as the team goes, I like that they can run with Alabama. They can play with Alabama in the half court. Alabama scores. They score 7 more a game. They give up 13 more a game. This is going to be an up-and-down game. As far as the game itself goes, it feels a little bit ambush-like, right? It just feels like after the Vols just took them to the woodshed a couple of weeks ago by 20, I think College Game Day is going to be in Tuscaloosa. Mm-hmm. Who knows why, but they're going to be in Tuscaloosa. And, they'll stop at Dreamland Barbecue. We're going to get all the requisite shots of Tuscaloosa, nice shots of Tuscaloosa, which will take like 30 seconds. And then I feel like the first 5 minutes of this game, and I know it's an overused axiom, but I think the first 5 minutes of this game will go a long way to tell us what's going to happen, because I'm thinking about the game at Kentucky last year when the Vols seemingly were down 25, 30 points in the first 10 or 11 minutes. They eventually found their way back, but we pretty much knew where that game was going to go. Tennessee simply must be in this game early on, and we need to attack. The Vols need to attack and put the pressure on Alabama. They cannot let the game come to them. They need to take the game to Alabama.
Chris, obviously the next game is the biggest game, but coming off such an emotional comeback versus Auburn, you kind of surmised it, I guess, a little bit there, but it seems like we could really, we learned a lot maybe about Tennessee the other night, but it seems like if they can come out and go on the road and get a huge win like this, we really are going to learn a lot more about this team and where they potentially could end up as March Madness is concerned. At least it feels that way to me. I'm curious your thoughts.
Well, I agree with you. I think that's a great point. When you get into March, and all of us here, we understand what March is, and a team like Tennessee, wherever the Vols play, they're going to be the villains. Whatever directional school they play, the Vols are going to be the villains. The Vols are going to be one of those teams that has a mark, a bullseye on their back. This game, I agree with you that we're going to see just how much they can handle in the way of stress. I've used that word a lot, but I think this is a stress game in many ways. They're going to be in a very hostile environment, in many ways a little more hostile than Rupp, because having been to both arenas, Coleman, the fans just feel like they're a little closer to you at Coleman Coliseum, especially behind the baskets. It's a little louder than Rupp because the roof at Coleman, it curves up a little bit, but overall it's a little bit lower. So it's a deafening environment. It's going to be crazy in there. We're going to learn a lot about the Vols in terms of how they deal with adversity. Common theme this time of year, right? We get to March. How well does your great team deal with adversity? And it seems as though the teams that make the deep runs in March, again, not breaking news here, it may not be the best team. It's the team that's playing the best. And in the case of the Vols have always found a way not to be playing their best at one point or another, going through long stretches. I think that's one thing we're going to look for tomorrow night, and that is, can the Vols limit stretches that they go without scoring a point. Is Dalton Knecht going to be able to follow? He generally follows a 30-point effort with another 30, except for the North Carolina game, the game after the North Carolina game when he had a hurt ankle. But that's usually a good sign for them. I think we're going to look to see Dalton Knecht get off early, but we're also going to see just how much swag this team can bring into the arena. And that's not something that we talk about all the time with Rick Barnes' teams, but this team has some swag, fellas. We all know that. They've got some guys. Dalton Knecht doesn't do much with it. He does a little 3 thing, but they need to go in there. And this is something, I'll go back to the Spurrier days in football in the 90s. When they used to come to Knoxville, most of us on this screen remember this. They didn't come in hoping to win. They came in expecting to win. And expecting to win is simply believing in yourself and knowing that you've got the components in every phase of the game to win the game. I really believe this is so key tomorrow night. The Vols need to go into Coleman Coliseum and expect to win that game, not hope to win that game. I think that will get them through a lot.
Speaking with Christopher Gabriel here at CG Program, and of course you can always catch it Saturday mornings is the time, the place. Just follow him on Twitter for that. Christopher, this game is massive in terms of the SEC tournament seeding, and of course, as we talked with Jerry Palm yesterday, seeding for the NCAA tournament. A win at Coleman Coliseum would go a long way to putting this Tennessee team closer to a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Is this team prepared for that mindset? Like you said, there's some adversity, obviously. Are they prepared for this type of game in this type of environment? We've seen them play well at home. We've seen them play at times on the road well. This is going to be the biggest test of the year.
You know, Chris, if they're not ready, and I'm not making a joke or being flippant here, if they're not ready, then they're not ready for March.
I agree.
At this point in the year, you have to be ready. And this is a team, when you have guys, when you have a veteran team and you have guys like Santi and Triple J in particular, guys who have been through the wars and guys who have seen their team, their orange and white, fall in March, there's got to be a level of chip on their shoulder to prove everybody wrong. And I mean everybody. It just seems everybody is expecting a loss in March. And I do think that this game is the kind of game that can really propel them to a number 1 seed. If they lose, how far does Tennessee fall in the minds of the people creating this stuff? I don't think they go below a number 2. But if you look at, I think since 1985, 38 number 1 seeds, 23 of them have won a national title. If you give me a choice, and I said this on Knoxville Radio on Wednesday, if you give me a choice of winning the SEC tournament or getting a number 1 seed, I want the number 1 seed. I realize it would be impressive to win that tournament, but I also don't want to see them put every single last ounce of energy, effort, and great game into winning the SEC tournament as opposed to positioning themselves to be a number 1 seed. They would likely, I think we agree, be the number 4, number 1 seed, probably, I'm guessing, come out west. That may not be a bad thing if they came out to the West Coast, because a lot of folks out here, 6 of one, half dozen of the other, right? Not a lot of folks out here pay much attention to the SEC. It's not that they don't respect the SEC, but I talk to folks in the Pac-12 and the Mountain West all the time. Pac-12 moving to Pac-2, but I talk to folks up and down the coast all the time. They know Dalton Knecht more than they know what this current Vols team is like. I don't know that would be a bad thing if you put the Vols in a regional, in one of the early sites out here. I mean, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but to the original question, this is a game that they simply have to be ready for. If they go into Tuscaloosa, guys, and they lose, then they lose. But if they come out with just a horrendous, embarrassing, double-digit 20 or 30-point loss like the Vols gave them in Knoxville, I think just the way things are with this program, I think that works a little bit against Tennessee more than it might work against some other teams. And that's not to suggest, oh, woe is us, everybody hates Tennessee. That's not at all what I'm saying. I just think that this team has a little bit more to prove than when you look at a Kansas or when you look at a UConn. It was certainly a UConn. And some of the other elite teams, Vols have a little more to prove. If they were to be able to get a win tomorrow night, I mean, unless they totally screwed up South Carolina or Kentucky, I think you're looking at a real strong case for a number 1 seed.
Christopher, you presented a hypothetical right there, and you said, given a choice between an SEC championship and a number 1 seed, you would rather have the number 1 seed. I'm wondering, can Tennessee get the number 1 seed without winning the SEC tournament?
Well, there's a nice conundrum, right? That's kind of a catch-22. You may be right about that, but what you're implying that can the Vols pull this thing off without winning it? I think they'd have to at least get to the SEC championship game.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think, if we take what you're saying a step further, if the Vols find their way to a number 2 seed, it's not going to be lower than a number 2 unless they lost three consecutive games and were out in the first round of the SEC tournament. Heaven forbid, but we've seen that happen before too. I don't think a number 2 seed is that bad either, depending upon what bracket they're in and who they ended up having to play. So that is an interesting point. I do think they could get one. We've seen that happen before. A team not winning their conference tournament, but usually that team is named Duke. Duke or North Carolina, but I think it's possible.
Yeah, I don't know if I would rather be the 1 out west or number 2 in the Midwest with Purdue looming, because we all know Tennessee and Purdue's history, right? I don't think that's not the play you want. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if we played them in field hockey, we're going down. So it just seems like we see the black and gold and there's a problem.
It's awfully frustrating. There's no question. Oh, man. Is Dalton Connect the SEC Player of the Year? Is there any doubt at this point?
Who else? I mean, you can make a case for Mark Sears and a couple of guys in Kentucky, but come on, he is the Player of the Year. And just because I said that, he'll be the runner-up. I don't know how you don't give it to him. I wrote this on social media the other day. I said this, I host my program on Saturdays, but I host the news magazine show Monday through Friday here on KMJ. And we were talking college basketball a little bit. And I said that as far as Tennessee goes, in men's and women's sports, he is in the discussion for one of the greatest finishers, big game clutch players of all time at Tennessee. Whether you're talking about Candace Parker, whether you're talking about Bernard King, we can go Chris Lofton. Dalton Connect is right there. And I had to correct somebody. I said, I'm not saying he's the best, but he is in that discussion. He does things that I have not seen a Tennessee athlete do in years. He has that second half the other night, and understand, I'm not saying he's these players, but that 12-minute stretch out here, I see a guy do that a lot, or have done it a lot, but his name is Steph Curry. That's what Dalton Connect did in those 12 minutes. It didn't matter. I mean, Pearl could have run on the court, whether it was Bruce Pearl or Sterl the Pearl with a 45 and run out there. Nobody was going to stop him. And I think what he has shown this year against virtually everybody, he is practically unstoppable. Even when he starts slowly, he just keeps firing it up. Credit to Rick Barnes. He's got to be the Player of the Year, doesn't he?
Chris keeps bringing this up, and I don't understand why. Because
I'm looking for confirmation bias here.
Okay, well, yeah, I think
I want everyone to say it so that I don't feel like an idiot for thinking it.
No, you're not an idiot for thinking this.
So Chris thinks that Dalton Connect will be the Player of the Year.
He feels like Dalton Connect should be the Player of the Year. He just wants other people to affirm that. And I just don't feel like it's even worth discussing, to be honest. If Dalton Connect is not the Southeastern Conference Player of the Year, they need to stop. Yeah.
There you go.
Right.
Here's my question, Christopher. I saw something earlier today about UT basketball Mount Rushmore. And I'm hesitant to put Dalton Connect on UT's Mount Rushmore just for the fact that he's only done it 1 year. Now, this 1 year may be the greatest 1 year in the history of Tennessee men's basketball, but it's 1 year. Where does that enter into your consideration of UT basketball's Mount Rushmore?
It's a great question. And for me, I think you make a valid point. It's only been 1 year, but let's just say, let's go there for a moment and just say the Vols find their way to the national championship. I'm putting them on there.
All bets are off at that point.
I'm putting them on there.
Okay.
That's exactly right. I mean, if they were to get there, I'm putting them on.
Yeah.
So there's three that are universal. I don't think anybody is arguing Bernard King, Allen Houston, and Chris Lofton, right? I think those three are pretty well universal. I think the fourth one is probably up for a little bit of debate.
Absolutely.
Here's my question. If Dalton Connect is on your Mount Rushmore after this season, could Zakai Ziegler over the next 2 years play his way onto it over because of longevity and the way that he's played his first 2 years at Tennessee?
Who would you take off for?
There used to be
Dalton.
Oh. Ooh.
Yeah. There was a show for years on CNN called Crossfire, and it was Michael Kinsley and Pat Buchanan, and they had their director in their ear saying, ask him this. Ask him this, because everybody's going to go crazy when you ask him this. That's an interesting premise there. I guess my thought is that possible? I guess it's possible, but I don't know that Zakai Ziegler, and man, I love the guy. He really, when he's not going well, we saw what happens to Tennessee in the half court when Zakai Ziegler isn't going well. We saw how important he is. But I'm just not sure that the full arsenal of Zakai Ziegler, even over the next 2 years, is enough to say he is that kind of an explosive player that can take over a game the way Dalton Connect can do that. I mean, I'm old enough, and I think at least two of you, I don't think three, but I think two of you are in my age neighborhood. I remember that 1979 season with Larry Bird and Terre Haute and Indiana State and Magic Johnson up the road in East Lansing. And I remember the game at the Huntsman Center when Michigan State and Indiana State played. Those two guys took over games like nobody's business in the regular season. It was the man versus the rest of the boys. Dalton Connect, when he's in a groove like he was against Auburn, that's what he's like. I don't think Zakai Ziegler has that game. Not a knock against him. How many people do have that game that Dalton Connect has? So I'm not sure that I would replace him, but I might have a little tiny statue, a little head off to the side of the Tennessee Mount Rushmore saying, is Zakai, I'm over here.
Well, here's the thing, Christopher, and as you reference age, my two counterparts may or may not have enough of a background for this, but Dale Ellis is on line one right now. What do you do with Dale Ellis in this mix?
Yes. Yeah, you see, this is what's fun. This is what's fun about when we do sports talk, because we can play that. You've held on to that Dale Ellis card, haven't you? You've been sitting there with Dale Ellis on a like. I'm gonna wait till the end of this discussion. I'm gonna throw Dale Ellis out there. But you're right. You're you're right.
So yeah, it's certainly something to think about. And
hey, Mo. Yeah. Are we finished with the basketball conversation?
We can be.
Scrolling through Twitter as we are wont to do. On3 Sports reporting that the NCAA is pausing all NIL-related investigations involving collectives as a response to the Tennessee-Virginia lawsuit. Figured since we have Christopher on the show, might as well talk a little bit about this.
Where's my white flag when I need it?
Yeah, that's good stuff. I'll just Barrett Saleh is a friend. He's an acquaintance. He's been on my show a number of times. He went out, did a video the other day, and him and I were texting back and forth. And I said I really applauded him for, even though he didn't mention their names, I'll mention their names: Dan Wetzel, Ross Dellinger, and Pat Forty, with the video they came out with, acting like they didn't know Nico's name. They couldn't pronounce it. And in all seriousness, and I'm going to get to the NIL part here, I found it embarrassing. I found it, Pat's been on my show a couple of times. He was a great guest. But I found that little moment embarrassing for three guys who are legitimately really good writers, have done great work for years. Dan Wetzel was in New York.
Supposed
the
professionals.
The federal trial. Yes. And I think that we've now gotten to that qualifier because it was so embarrassing and to me beneath fans to have to watch that. And the way Barrett Saleh came out and not mentioning them, saying these guys and others owe Tennessee an apology for assuming the worst, and people coming out nonsense with this garbage about the death penalty. Everybody knew that after SMU years ago got the death penalty, that wasn't even in play. The NCAA absolutely loves to get their butts kicked in court. They really are unbelievable when it comes to that. And I have said forever, I've said for years, that figuratively speaking, in Indianapolis, that building, figuratively speaking, needs to be burned to the ground, and then they need to rebuild that place, get all the gray and black suits out of there, men and women, and find a way to build something that is less dysfunctional than the IOC or FIFA. Because everything that they do, their inconsistency in how they mete out punishment is ridiculous. Go back to the North Carolina academic scandal, and, well, we're going to leave it to North Carolina to punish themselves. Well, we're still waiting for that to happen. So this today that you're bringing up doesn't surprise me at all. And this notion about some fans like, oh, Nico's going to be suspended. No, he's not. Do a little research, figure things out. The NCAA is going to go crawl under a rock on this one because Tennessee, state of Virginia, as well as everything else going on with Donde Plowman and Danny White, they were ready for this. And none of that announcement surprises me one bit.
All right.
There you go.
There you go.
I need a towel off now.
Christopher Gabriel bringing it as always here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Christopher, we appreciate you visiting with us, and we will be watching the same screen that you will be tomorrow night as Tennessee and Alabama get things going. So I'm sure we'll be tweeting and texting and the like. Looking forward to it. Thanks for your time, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Fellas, it's always my great pleasure. Anytime you call, it is a wonderful time to come on your program. Have a great weekend. Go Vols tomorrow night.
There we go.
Thank you, Christopher.
Hey, when we come back, we'll tell you what we're going to be doing outside of that UT Alabama window tomorrow night. So stay with us here for the final segment of Main Street Sports Today, coming to you from the Lee Company studios after this. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. I'm Maurice Patton, and on Main Street Sports Today, we bring you the voices of your favorite teams from preps to pros. Otherwise known as the VOT, Mike Keith.
The bottom line is we can teach Will Levis woke.
I just don't know who's going to work with you on your base stealing now that Eli's gone.
Well, that has nowhere to go but up. And I was just like, oh, guys, not again. Can we just bury that, burn that footage, and not bring it back?
No. No.
Thank you. We'll keep it going past the All-Star break, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. There's always a good story to tell.
Can you guess where I am today, Mo? Where am I?
It's not Reese Smith Field, is it?
Yeah.
Because anytime you play Chicago, you want to win. That's just
you got that right, and
that's bottom line.
A buzz.
When you're walking the dog, you keep the bags that you need for the dog in the bag, and you don't even have to wear it. You can just hold it, which is what I do when I walk the dog. So
I think the fanny pack probably needed a little rebranding.
It did. It really did.
On your show logo, we've got to get a puck in there.
There's a basketball. There's a football. There's a baseball. Maybe about a buck. How about Mo brandishes a hockey stick?
Tune in daily at 2 p.m. on Main Street Media TV.
Every time we play that promo, I just think anybody that ever saw me with a hockey stick would know that was staged.
A goalie's mitt, maybe.
Possibly. I mean, you would have to move a lot less on ice skates playing goalie than anything else. So, yeah.
I'm just thinking with, the baseball connection there, a little more resembling a catcher's mitt or a
I'm not sure I want to stand in front of any of those pucks coming at you from speed and distance. So, I don't know. But welcome back to the final segment of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia.
Not Kentucky again.
Not Kentucky, but both with C's. What y'all got going this weekend? Because, I mean, I'm going to try my best to be in front of the TV for Tennessee, Alabama, but I'm also headed to Murfreesboro, as I mentioned when we were talking with Chris Childers, for Lady Raiders Senior Day, 2:00 tip versus Sam Houston. Not seen them since running down to Huntsville for that UT game. So
I might try to run over there with Charlie.
Come on.
I think she'd enjoy that.
Come on. We'll have a big old time.
Well, I will tell you, speaking of Charlie, let's look less ahead and look back into yesterday, because I have to tell you about a phone call I got from Sarah while I was at work yesterday. This is what I'll be trying to avoid this weekend. So Charlie is using the potty on her own, and this is great. It's wonderful. We're so happy, and she washes her hands, and like it's not unusual for us to hear the water turn on in the bathroom because she washes her hands. Like it just is what it is. The water turns on yesterday, and she runs out of the bathroom, and her hair is soaking wet. And Sarah says, "Why is your hair wet?" And she goes, "It's squirting." And Sarah's like, what are you talking about? Well, Sarah walks into the bathroom, and the bidet portion of our toilet is just straight up streaming into the air. And it's hit her in the face. It's hit her everywhere.
Oh. Did you not tell her about the bidet? She wasn't ready, huh?
Well, so it's silver, just like the flush handle. So I think she just mistook that for the flush handle, and yep, she hit it. And next thing you know, she didn't know what to do.
Well, she won't do that again.
Oh my gosh! So I'll be trying to avoid that this weekend. But it was such a good story, I couldn't not tell it.
That's one of those life lessons that you didn't know you would ever have to figure out, but it worked itself out naturally, it seems.
That's a fool me once kind of thing, I would think. Yeah.
That was great.
Of course, I've never had a bidet, so it never was much of an issue.
This is one of those that like it's basically just a seat, and it just hooks into the water. Like it's not like anything special. Like you can buy it at Walmart. But the person who owned our house before I think they bought it during the toilet paper shortage of 2020, and they were like, "Hey, just in case."
There you go. Better safe than sorry.
Just to be on the safe side.
Yeah. But otherwise, I don't know. I'll be watching probably some NASCAR on Sunday, and got a DJ gig tomorrow night. So.
Yeah. Wade, any bidet encounters planned for the weekend?
Hopefully none. And I'm not gonna be at my house.
That's right. You're going to Paris. Maybe there will.
I'm going to Paris. My bidet is usually not in a vertical position, so we're usually pretty safe there. But going to Paris tomorrow. Summertown is on the road playing Huntington. Be my first trip over to Huntington proper. Been over to Carroll County a couple times over the years, but going to check that out. And really, it's kind of unfortunate because there's a lot of stuff going on. We mentioned with Tennessee, Alabama playing at the same time. You got the Preds going to be going on this weekend, which will be a big game versus the Avalanche. NSC is on the road tomorrow night. And then also one thing that I'm looking forward to, hopefully, we'll know more later tonight, but UT Southern, the Firehawks, they got a nice win yesterday to open up their conference tournament versus the 8 seed Thomas. They're in action tonight versus 5 seed Mobile at 7 o'clock. So I'll try and keep tabs on that this evening. But if they win that game, they play for the conference championship tomorrow night down in Montgomery at 6:30. So it could be one of those deals. I always carry headphones and usually listen to our Pulaski Citizen Live broadcast when I'm out shooting photography or other games. So I'll probably have some sort of combination of devices, all of that pending that there's cell phone reception in Huntington, Tennessee, I suppose.
See, I would like to do that, but I gotta be focused on one thing, typically. And so if I'm listening to a game and trying to cover another game, it's not going to go well.
You don't really. It's more background noise than anything, and Scott Stewart has kind of got me indoctrinated into it a little bit. You kind of listen, and then you just really only go off of what you hear. You know, Mark Mize and Jennifer, they do a great job. They get their voices excited. I'm like, okay, I'll tune into the Richland game for just a little bit. And, you know, unfortunately, the other night they didn't have to raise their voices too much as both teams got eliminated, unfortunately, this week. But so Saturday's the big day. And I kid you not, guys, until about 10 minutes ago, have been thinking the Oscars were this weekend on Sunday. They're next weekend. Now I have no idea what I'm going to do on Sunday because I was planning to watch the Oscars on Sunday night.
You can always watch a little NASCAR. You know, Mark mentioned earlier about the late, great Davey Allison picture that's over my shoulder here. Again, looking back, on this day, 1987, Davey Allison won his first NASCAR race at Rockingham. Well, this day in NASCAR history. How about that?
Wow.
Man, that's some good trivia right there.
It's been a good day for trivia here on Main Street Sports today. I mean, Final Four World Series participants.
I will be watching the Formula One kicks off their season over in Bahrain tomorrow. Some of it I catch that a little bit in the morning time. Spoiler alert: Max is probably going to win. Red Bull.
Well, whoever's leading after the first 5 minutes is probably going to win.
More often than not. By the way, learned this earlier on the show or earlier this week that new Titans coach, Brian Callahan, he's a big Formula One fan, and it pained me that he indoctrinated everybody with his he's a Red Bull and Max Verstappen guy. So that kind of took him down a little bit of a notch in my book because Max he's kind of the pretty boy and the poster child. Nobody wants that guy to win.
I mean, Callahan's a former quarterback, though, right? So
I guess that kind of checks out. I see what you did there. Yeah,
that tracks.
Yeah.
What you got going on? You mentioned Senior Day, though. What else?
I'm going to Senior Day, and I'm going to try to watch UT Alabama, and then I will be slaving away over a hot keyboard pretty much during the day Sunday, getting copy ready for the Wednesday print edition of Main Street Murray, because that's pretty much what my Sundays have devolved to, unfortunately. But you mentioned the Predators. They will be playing tomorrow night against the Avalanche, going for number 8.
MoneyPuck.com has the Preds at about a 67% chance to make the playoffs. They're now up to about a 25% chance to win the first round series. Look out, folks.
This is wild.
Yeah. Who'd have thunk? And it all started with our conversation with Ann Kimmel a couple of weeks ago. Ann Kimmel, who is now moving over to Penalty Box Radio, by the way. So we will have to come up with some new graphics for her for the next time she comes on with us. Yeah. Hint, hint.
Should be a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching both Friday and Saturday, by the way, Portland and Memphis. So,
that's crazy.
I know. Tonight and tomorrow, back-to-back, 7 o'clock on Valley. So plenty of stuff to react to on Monday on the Monday Mirror, Mo.
Absolutely. And see who's here to react to it on the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, coming to you from a Lee Company studio somewhere. Chris, Wade, You guys have a great weekend. Y'all have a great weekend. We'll see you
you
Monday
guys.
at 2 o'clock right here.